Okay.
Okay, how can I help you?
Well, of course, when I opened my book, I got to write to parents and children. Um, but
Book.
I mean, my
Oh,
notebook,
notes.
my notes. Um, I'm really curious about that last constellation because I have such an odd relationship with it,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel like make believe, but
Good.
I really want to keep my distance from it.
Good.
There are components in it that are like yucky.
Yep.
Like the representation of pain is like really icky. Like I had to really work to separate that from Kelly because it made me not want to be near her.
You mean
Which
after or during?
yeah, after it was just like
Oh,
I
how
still had a little
interesting.
taste of this
Huh. How long
of
did
like
that last? I mean, I hope by the end of the day, Kelly was back
yeah,
to
it
being
was
Kelly
yeah,
for you.
Kelly was back to being Kelly.
Yeah.
Um
I don't need to know the details. I just wanted to
No,
make
but
sure that by the end of the day.
I still had a small aversion. I had to really talk myself through it.
I mean,
And
that part we're not surprised about, right?
okay,
I mean, your pain is a pain in the ass.
yeah.
And it's an entanglement, at least in part, maybe not in other ways, but
Mm-hmm.
and that it showed up as something you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
By this, we are not surprised.
Yeah, you know what? I think it ended up as this big thing that just sucks the life out of any situation. But that's actually very accurate. If
That's the, I mean, you were sitting there going, I mean, this very resourceful, grounded woman who you are, like, this has got to stop. This is
mm-hmm.
intolerable.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't remember your exact language. And it's not like it's the first time you've gone on the record about not liking the pain,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a way in which you got articulate about just what it does to you
Mm-hmm.
and what you have to endure with it.
Mm-hmm.
That came through very, very clearly. So when it showed up in that way, I'm like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I actually don't. The only person that I've maybe been that articulate to is Peter. And it's still hard for him to hold on to, and I'm very careful.
Because you don't walk through the world like a person in physical pain,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not going, I mean,
Yeah.
you do the sitting out of your chair and laying on the floor thing,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, you don't walk through the world communicating I'm a person in physical pain,
Right.
for
Right.
good or for ill.
Yeah. Well, and I used to walk through the world with desperation, but that was the physical pain, but the mental pain was the primary cloud I was walking around with. So this is just very interesting. So I just got a little bit spacey.
Right.
I'm so glad I brought it up because there's a way in which I was wanting to negate the constellation. Also, because now I have three constellations. I don't remember if I've constellated for pain in our group before.
No, I don't think
Certainly,
you have.
I had the first one with you where we got to the entity, which doesn't feel grounded in me at all. Doesn't seem not true, but I don't have a relationship with that I can hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And the very big one, the public one at Rujamanjir, where pain and the Holocaust dead were spooning. Spooning Dead. And so
and that one made sense, right?
that one
Yeah.
I just resonated
Yep.
with from start to beginning. So it was
Yep.
an odd thing to not resonate, and also to have these three experiences and be resonating with that. They don't necessarily line up nicely for me. I don't know
Yeah.
if they need to.
Welcome to the unconscious of systemics in there.
Okay, yeah,
Being
and then there's the learning.
convenient, right? Because it's like, again, the only complete system is the universe.
Okay,
We can't say, oh, Judith has pain, let's set up the universe,
okay,
right? I mean, that we wouldn't get very far. Well, let's put Andromeda in, and let's put in the Big Bang, and 13 billion years later, we might do something about your pain. So we're always making artful choices. I put this in quotation marks in this context, around what subsystems we're looking at, and they overlap and they mush and we flow into. I mean, I really loved, I think it was Jan Jakob Stam who said, you know, you set up something and something's gonna happen.
right,
You know?
right.
You know, if you said I have pain and we didn't interview you and we just set up, I don't know, you, the chair you're sitting on, and San Francisco, we'd get something.
Right.
But would it be useful? It wouldn't be inaccurate. It just it wouldn't. So what your pain, when I sort of go into it with you in these constellations, your pain is loaded with meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Like an overstuffed suitcase. The zippers are like bulging. And at the same time, there's a very intense loyalty structure. Does that make sense when I say that?
Mm-hmm. I'm wanting you to say more, but it's absolutely true.
I mean, it's the most clean version of that you've acknowledged is the one where we did the Holocaust one, like, right? And pain spooning with the ancestors. I mean, that's a loyalty thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, no?
You disappeared from my screen and I got distracted. So okay. Can you say that again? I'm trying.
What's the last thing you heard? You heard loyalty structure and you said, can you say more about that?
Yeah. Can we go back to there somewhere?
Okay. The most obvious sort of outpicturing of that was the Holocaust one, where you saw your pain spooning with the ancestors. And I mean, that's a picture of loyalty, first off. And secondly, it made sense to you. Like, oh yeah.
And so this is just so funny. I need you to say it again for me. Sorry. I don't know how to get, I'm just looking at me and it's bothering me that this has happened before.
Right-hand corner.
Okay.
Toggle gallery view, speaker view.
Show small active, show large active. Yes. Speaker. It's showing me. I do not have, in my right-hand corner, I have mute and the 3 dots that has stop my video,
okay,
mute.
so you're on a tablet or a phone, yes? You're not on a computer.
I'm on my laptop.
Oh. It's not just, is this displaying the way it usually displays for you?
I don't have that bottom stuff that I usually do. The big window, somebody tried to call. I hadn't turned off I hadn't put my phone on airplane. Somebody tried to call, and so it made that little message. and I turned off the airplane on my phone. And when I looked back after that message, then it was just my self view.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say other than to experiment with leaving the meeting and coming back.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I can't even get. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
I clicked on it twice, and here you are.
Okay. You can see me now.
I can see you. I don't have the mute myself or whatever buttons, but that's fine.
So I don't want to say this again. So I want you to put your feet on the floor, your butt in the chair.
Okay.
Say, hi, Leslie. I see you, and I'm listening now.
Hi, Leslie. I see you, and I'm listening now.
This is not a correction. It's about getting you here.
Yeah.
Which is simply that in terms of loyalty structures, an example is the Holocaust constellation, where you could see your pain spooning with the ancestors. That's a picture of loyalty, and it was congruent in your own body. You could, like, this is making sense, right? That my pain is connected to that, that I've been having it for you and out of love for you and in order to belong to you.
Okay.
And I leave it with you, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
That's a loyalty structure. So when I step into the pain, none of us is surprised when I notice a loyalty structure. It communicates some kind of really important belonging for you. Yeah, and
yes,
kind of love.
Yes.
Even as consciously you'd really prefer not to have it. Yes. And you're aware that it actually doesn't influence belonging at all. It's you know, but you've had it long enough that it's a little hard to get over the habit. And the sense of disloyalty. I mean, I'm sure if you imagined right now not having the pain, part of you would be relieved, and some part of you, conscious or not, would feel guilty at the idea. Yeah, well, I would leave my sisters more behind. No, you would not. Oh, I mean, that's right. Okay. The thought of the guilt, although I don't feel like I have a problem with that. When you said about the belonging, it's really very true that I needed to belong to fucked up, not whole. And in order, I'm gonna push you a little bit here, Judith. Okay. Please do. You belong to a really whole, beautiful family. Thank you. And remember Volker saying, there's nothing we can do about that. Like, that's the one thing that there's no choice around. It's a permanent deal. Okay. It has loads of suffering and woundedness in history. And the part of you, the part in all of us, that wants to stay innocent joins our families in the suffering and the woundedness. So I'm gonna invite you to start holding yourself a little bit more accountable to the language you use. And 6 months ago, I would not have said this. Like, I mean, your parents were really dangerous people. But the sort of the language of, belonging to fucked upness. There are these little, it's an interesting thing. There are these accusations that actually bind you in more tightly. Okay. Like, it just takes the Chinese handcuffs and you pull real hard. Right.
this seems so important, what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like having to keep staying with it, and like, instead
Right.
of, Judith, watch this a lot of times.
Right.
Be here right now with it. Yeah.
And you're a really, really lovely person. I mean, you're a really good person. And like all of us, you have an inner perpetrator that wants its day.
Huh.
Godzilla. Godzilla was the good monster. What's the bad monster? I don't know which is the bad Japanese monster.
Like it wants to wreak havoc and destruction.
Yeah.
I can feel that. And it's not just an inner anger or inner rage.
No. It's the part of the family system that includes the perpetrator.
Okay.
The Nazis, the Cossacks, the
Okay.
whatever other perpetrators are relevant.
And it just only feels like mine.
Of course.
Okay.
Although to the degree any of us become mean people to others, okay, we've become perpetrators, right?
Okay.
So I'm wondering if this is the stage where you start to love your inner perpetrator and honor her. Because here's the deal. In the dyad of victim perpetrator, you've heard me do this speech before, right? In a system where there's massive victimization or massive perpetration or both, the children basically get a 2-item menu upon birth.
Okay.
Would you like some yummy victimization, or would you like some delicious perpetration?
Right.
And you're like, oh man, that's a short menu. Really? Those are the only items on it? And you're like, sorry, that's it. Some yummy victimization or some delicious perpetration. We tend to identify more with one or the other, particularly if we have family systems with 2 siblings. One will often end up with one, and one will end up with the label of the other. Okay. The second one gets whatever the first one didn't choose.
Third one gets a little of both.
Well, once you have more than 2, that it actually cracks something open a little bit. It's a really good thing in a family with that history to not stop at 2. Even better, I mean, 2 is better than 1. 1 just gets. Yeah. 2, they get the 2 roles. 3, there's actually a little bit of. Oh, there's 3. There's a 3 thing in the world. When we call the third way or the third option, somehow having a third, it means that nobody has to stay stuck to either of those. That doesn't mean the siblings are happier or care for each other better or any of that stuff, but it does put a foot in the door in the dyad, the solidity of it. So at any rate, why would someone choose victimization? Well, there are many lovely things about it. The best thing being you get to be innocent. Yay! The downfall is that, well, you're a victim. You're weak and expect to be injured. Okay. Perpetration. We are ones who've probably chosen the victimization side more. So you might wonder, like, why would anyone choose that? Because, the downside is you have to feel guilty. You have to be guilty. You're the guilty one. But there's something really important that gets siloed completely into this side of the dyad when you only have these 2, which is strength.
Yeah.
And this side gets all of it. And then it turns out that being innocent isn't all it's cracked up to be anyway, right? I mean, just talk to someone who's become aware that they're suffering from codependency and how perpy a certain kind of victimization can be.
Yes.
And also how miserable life is as a perpetual victim. So the strength is all over on this side. We do this inside. We have the inner victim, we have the inner perpetrator, we have this split. I'm one or the other, but we're both. And both of them have shadow sides, but for folks like us, the perpetrator tends to be more in the shadow, the part we don't integrate or acknowledge. Which means that we've put all of the strength into the shadow. Yeah. And now we need our strength, right? Strength is necessary to live. And so we'll borrow from that side, but we'll do it very surreptitiously and very carefully and probably not very congruently. Yeah. So integrating both of these sides for people with these kinds of histories is really, really, really important. The inner perpetrator has something to bring to the table that's useful. And then it keeps us from using it in ways that are not so helpful or useful. I am telling you, constellation facilitators need their inner perpetrator integrated. It is a arrow in the quiver. If you can't like be kind of fierce in a really loving, congruent kind of way, either you'll just be walked over, or you'll do a lot of really nice but kind of superficial constellations, or it will come out in dark ways, which is something that we have all seen from time to time. Yeah, kind of wacky guru thing. So I'm going to ask you to do something terrible.
Okay.
Look at Kelly in your mind's eye before the full sense of the representation of the pain dropped off for you, whenever that was, even if it took days, or even if it's still there a little bit.
Oh, so look at her as that thing that I...
No, look at her as
Kelly.
Kelly, who you know is Kelly, but you're still feeling some of the zhuzh or the roll on.
Okay. Okay.
Say, thank you, Kelly, for bringing this forth.
Thank you, Kelly, for bringing this forward.
Ah!
Thank you, Kelly, for bringing this forward.
No, now you can follow it with a Because for me, the most the clearest part of your constellation was the first part. For me, that was just like that. There it is. That's the thing. Judith's representation likes having the pain around. Feels good, snuggly, really comfortable. Nice to be here.
I don't even remember that part.
Yeah.
They were snuggling.
Oh, yeah. Anna was just like, oh, yeah, this is great. This is very comforting, petting me on the head. This
oh, my goodness. Okay.
When it went away, she felt abandoned.
Okay.
She went through a whole kind of resentment, abandonment. I've been rejected. I don't want anybody's help now thing.
Oh, that's so funny. I like really kept myself from feeling that.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember it.
And I mean, it's sort of classic when we have a really strong often a disease or a physiological state of a condition. This is just classic. At some level, it's been keeping us company. And it's trying to be in service to us, because that's how it showed up, was, wanting to care and be helpful. And they were buddies.
Yeah. And there is some, at least, distraction, if not allaying of the intolerable loneliness that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the piece that also came up in the entity release. Very frequently, whether we take that metaphorically or literally, I don't know, but once it gets released, the client has to tolerate the experience of, like, I'm glad it's gone. It's not supposed to be here anymore, but now I feel really lonely. It's been here a really long time. It's been my pal. Now, the rest of it, with Grace and me and all that stuff and the story I came up with, I think we were dealing with something very real, something very useful. It was tricky that Serena's choice as a constellator, as a facilitator, was not to try too hard to locate it ancestrally. And so that's not necessarily always a bad thing. Like, client, you have something like this with a meaning like this somewhere upstream that seems relevant to your pain. And it does help to ground it in a great-grandfather or something. It just helps. Because then you can feel the person, the client can feel, oh, that's my great-grandfather. You can, even if the thing around the great-grandfather doesn't make much sense, you can feel him and the relationship. So you didn't have that. You didn't have the benefit of that. Don't know much what to do, make of that, other than let it be. And if you want to do a constellation down the road, feel free. I am curious, how is your pain?
It's been a little better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little better.
How has it been over the 6 months, if you were to graph it out? On average, the same as before you walked into this work? On average, a tiny bit better? On average, in hindsight, loads better? And I know that's not a simple question, because you have different kinds of pain in different parts of your body. So
I would say started the same. Got close to its worst. Got much better, and then went down again, and has been improving. And I also, there's the one thing that I think is very significant is that my overall openness has increased. My self-defensiveness has softened, and that when I was in New York, when I had
inflammation, it
also allowed me to not only hear but embody a new idea. When I was exposed to this Alexander work in New York, and then had my 2 sessions, that my upper body has been leaned back. And because I'll get up in the morning and my sacrum won't necessarily hurt. And then once I'm walking around, the pain will become intolerable. And that's what I get injections for. And that when I allow my tailbone to float and my upper body is straight, which feels leaning forward a little instead of this back, which is also more of the startle.
And is sexual trauma. Right?
Yeah. Which doesn't feel like that's been unraveled all the way
But
at
it's
all.
what came up in that constellation.
In this constellation
This
we
one.
just had.
Yeah.
I didn't even read it as that. I was like, yes, yeah. If we've got an illicit pregnancy, father to daughter, that is a sexual trauma, and I experienced it and this abortion. I was like, okay, ho hum, there's that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I was very uncertain partly because A, I'm representing, which always makes it tricky. B, I'm wanting to leave it in Serena's hands, which makes it also tricky. And then C, we were in a space where we were all having a tricky time figuring out well, we had just come out of Anna's wacky constellation,
Yeah.
where we had found a useful space for the client not seeing something, which I think is a red herring for you. I don't think that is such a rare, one time in 12 years. Usually what we want to do is reveal. Reveal. But there was the sense of, what is it proper to say, to see, to speak to? So even just saying what I thought might be in this little triad felt like I was crossing some lines. And then to really underline, like, this is this, seemed off the table.
Huh. So funny. And of course, I was the one constellating, facilitating Anna's constellation.
Right.
And it did feel a little like, I don't want to see. I mean, it was so interesting that not only was I having trouble sitting, which probably means I was leaning back.
Yeah.
I like had to get up and go behind the chair.
Yeah. You weren't far enough away.
Yeah, I would have, I don't know if I would have stood behind Serena, but I was happy to get to the window.
Well, we could have moved the whole constellation to the other side of the room, which probably would have been now that we had Anna's art project cleaned up.
Okay, just in that I needed more space to see that in some way.
I just think it would have been useful.
Okay.
I mean, it's a small room. We're in a small circle. I just repeatedly, I'm going to keep watching this and thinking about this repeatedly over the residencies. I just noticed the student clients just being too in. It wasn't just you, it's just regularly and repeatedly. Okay. So make the circle bigger and use the length of the room more. So yeah, I'm really glad you saw this Alexander person. I think, I don't know if you have plans to do more of that. I think that's excellent. And as you adjust your angle with your pelvis, more of this stuff might arise for you.
Yeah.
And that really is the place where I thought that the constellation was relevant. Like, we're finally dealing with the sexual trauma. And its historical roots in the family, not just your personal ones, which are important and critical, but the historical roots of it.
And it's really interesting that I had this MDMA experience where that's completely what I was physically experiencing, the attack and getting it off, like 5 hours of shaking it, kicking it, getting it off. And that Sexual contact was out of the question for me for a month afterwards, and it's still a little, it's still a little fraught.
Yeah.
And not that it hasn't been, but it's always been fraught to different degrees, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's not done. And I'm gonna have my next round of that at the end of March. But yeah, I feel like everything I've been doing is
Yeah.
going in the same direction and letting me experience it from different angles.
And this is, to journey with you in this is a
Mhm.
lot to ask of your fellow students as
Yeah.
facilitators. And I'm wondering to what degree that keeping things safe was
Mhm.
partly for you, but also partly for Serena.
Mhm.
Um,
Huh.
Unconsciously, not consciously.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, I mean, this is the question we all ask when we do work. How is the container? Is it good enough for this work? And
Mhm.
if there's a no on that, um, then there's only so far we're going to go,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, well, it was the same, like, I didn't wanna pick people again. You had to talk me through that people were volunteering, and I'm not sure what you said, but I said, "Oh, I
And
don't wanna
that's
pick."
your worry about the inner perpetrator right there,
Okay.
right?
Huh.
By choosing you, I'm perpetrating on you. I don't want to do that,
Okay.
right? And then if you hang out, there's something oddly, that's something you're going to need to keep working with, because when you come to someone from that place, it makes it hard for people to relax into, like, you've preloaded the distrust and the
Mhm.
danger.
Mhm.
And all I can say is, girl, you ain't that special.
Thank you so much. I do not wanna be special in that way at all.
You're just not. You know, there's just too many fucked up families out there,
Okay.
and too much pain, and too much historical trauma.
So is
If
that
it
way,
was dangerous for people to participate in yours, Constellation's period would not be safe. They just wouldn't be.
so there's a way in which if I go backwards, it seems like I must be viewing my experience and my pain, my parents, as exceptionally fraught.
Yeah, and on one sense, it is. I mean, I do understand we have a bell curve of human suffering, and you're more on one end. I
Mhm.
mean, if we were to compare you with your fellow students, yeah, it's kind of, well, you and Grace kind of have a run for the money in this regard.
Yeah, but it's still, yeah, okay.
And Serena, she's got some very intense trauma going on, but it's not so much about how she was treated in childhood. It
Mhm.
really is this war and immigrant trauma stuff that's so heavy. I
Mhm.
mean, Palestinians and Koreans, fuck
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah,
One of those would have been hard enough.
yeah.
But not so much. She was not treated really badly in childhood.
Mhm.
I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't.
Right.
Um, um, uh, you and Grace have a bit of a run for the money in that regard. Um, um, and then everybody, I mean, Kelly's got her own
Mhm. Mhm.
wacky thing, and the way her brother died is just awful. And
Mhm.
So yeah, you're a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
if it helps you, I could tell you worse stories.
No, I know way
No,
worse
I know
stories
you don't.
because like I consider myself somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I
And
have ancestors with the extreme, but
and generally my clients are not, Syrian war refugees.
Mhm.
You know,
you had
torture victims.
The constellation that we did last time at Rouge-Manger. That woman that was getting pretty extreme. Her parents.
Yeah. She had a rough one. She had a
Mhm.
really rough one.
That was a beautiful constellation.
It was. Jehovah's Witnesses, crazy.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's going on for those Williams sisters that they're like managing?
Yeah. So anyway, before we wrap up, I'm getting an image of a couple of small constellation moves just to lubricate this for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm getting two different ones. So and they're both just kind of something for you to see and perhaps feel. Mm-hmm. And tell me how they land for you. The first one would be over here, over the great distance of Zoom, not in the same room at all, just to look at that final triad. The three people who were at the end of your constellation. So you could just see it and bow to it, just to go, hi, I see you. I don't know what you mean, but thank you for showing up, and I see you now, and kind of whatever.
I don't even know what I can't remember what you were.
It was Grace's role, which represented the origin of the pain.
Okay.
Kelly's role, which represented the pain. And me, that represented whatever Grace's role was seen near the plant. So I was a drafted role, who ended up looking like maybe a father, a daughter, and their unsuccessful pregnancy.
And then Anna was me.
Yeah, but I'm not. She was over there, so I was. Yeah. Over here, just to look at those three.
The pain and
whatever the origin of the pain was seen.
Okay.
And just set that up here, and let you just kind of go, hi. I mean, nothing else you got to do, but a lot of distance. We're on screens here, which is good. And maybe, just to bow to it. So how does that land for you? Does that like freak you out, or does that feel like?
No, it makes me curious.
Okay. And we wouldn't do anything with it. Just to put it there, take the picture, maybe bow to it if that feels good enough, just so that, because basically what you're admitting to me, and this makes sense, is that part of you was kind of offline and not seeing it all. So it just gives you a chance, now that you're more resourced and we're not in the middle of it and we're not trying to make Serena facilitate for you, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I think you will find more woohoo is that what I wanted to set up, because as I was talking about your pain as something that's been your pal and has been a friend, that if it were to leave, it would make you feel lonely. I thought maybe we need to give your pain the update that you have a new pal. Or really not the pain. The pain doesn't need the update, but some part of your unconscious.
Right. I'm not lonely anymore.
Yeah. So I just thought I might do that. So those two.
Okay.
And they're really just snapshots. Okay. Rather than, famous last words, but Leslie, who has a trouble stopping futz. fussing with things. Oh, just one thing, Judith. I'm noticing just one thing.
I'm really happy to be spending the day with you Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Or knock on wood, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be the pain, which was on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and origin. No, we ended up with source of the pain, and what the source of the pain sees. Okay. And I'm basically going to set it up the way it was that at the end, just the tableau at the end.
Okay. It's so interesting that the source and the origin are two separate things.
No.
No? Okay.
The pain.
Okay.
The source of the pain. What the source of the pain sees.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
I think I'm going to turn this because I think it'll be hard to do from the other angle. See how far away I need to get to make this work. And I am in PJs, so it's a little rough here. But usually the lower half of my body doesn't show up. So the pain, the source of the pain, and what the source of the pain sees.
Okay.
So
I can't see your face.
I know, but I'm trying to get the ground, and
okay.
Pain was like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I feel really comfy. I feel like I'm in my right place. Feels really good here. Feel really loved, and I feel like I'm in the right place. And then this was the source of the pain, which was kind of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is mine. This belongs to me. There's a lot of love, very maternal, very kind, very simple.
This one is more uncomfortable to look at.
This is more what?
Uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah. My guess is that this is the one you're symbolically entangled with, because you're taking her pain.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you just say, let's just give it symbolic language, great-great-great-grandmother.
Great-great-great-grandmother.
I see your pain.
I see your pain.
It was a lot for you.
It was a lot for you.
But I leave it with you. It's yours.
But I leave it with you. It's yours.
With respect.
With respect.
Would you just bow your head to her?
Yeah.
And what I want to say is, I know I'm a very young woman and I'm a victim of something here, but please see my strength.
Thank you. I see your strength.
It's really important to me. I don't want to be seen just as a victim.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for saying that. That strengthens me. It honors me.
Yeah, it strengthens me to say so, to say that I see your strength.
And then the source of the pain sees. So what this one sees.
Mm-hmm.
And this does feel like mine.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a family unit. And I feel the discomfort of my guilt. And what I want to say is, these belong with me. And the guilt that is here, leave with me. And you can just say, I leave it with you.
I leave it with you.
And then again, just bow your head. And again, it's not, I love you or I like you. It's just, it's his. It belongs to him. Yeah.
I feel the dignity of this one owning it.
So again, I'm going to step off just in your mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Pain,
Mm-hmm.
which seems to be an unborn child. Source of the pain, a very young woman, maybe what we might call a girl. And a man, possibly her father. Just see them all and bow to the whole thing. As you do that, I'll just say some words. It happened and it's over. And you just might say, thank you for my life.
Thank you for my life.
And then the last thing, famous last words, but just imagine 4 or 5 ancestors behind them, aunts and uncles and parents and cousins to these people. And you might just hear them say, these belong to us and we've got them. Leave them with us. So just imagine the elders of their day. Yeah? All these people are dead now, right? And just notice that they're with them. They're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the hands of ones who preceded them. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pick these up. So you're going to represent yourself in the second thing. You're just going to see yourself. And I mean, you're going to be in yourself looking at this. And all I want you to do is notice I've got one that says Peter and one that says Judith's pain. Okay? Whatever aspect of the mushy thing that you've been carrying, that you've experienced in your body. Okay. And I'm going to put Judith's pain here and Peter over here. So interesting. Over here, the feeling is it almost feels like inflammation. It's quite an it's inflamed. It's an inflamed state. And I look at Peter, and he looks like cool water or something.
A tall drink of water, as I call him.
And is there anything you can do with that spotlight behind you? Because right now I cannot see you at all. There we go.
We go like that.
Awesome. Thank you. So for me over here, as your pain, the contrast is quite significant. You almost feel like opposites.
Huh. Okay.
But not, I mean, there's no conflict here. And it looks nice, but I'm aware that I'm roiling and hot and inflamed, and he isn't. Okay. And then over here. So I actually have an interesting affection here. It makes me wonder if there's any way in which Peter is invested in you having this pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would not be the most surprising thing. I mean, at a very unconscious place, because then he can be the strong, cool drink of water.
Mm-hmm.
He has nothing to be contrasted with. That's interesting, right? But we're not going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
All I want you to do is say, "Dear pain, please meet my husband and my companion."
Dear pain, please meet my husband and my companion.
Thank you for being my companion.
Thank you for being my companion.
But if you leave, I won't be alone.
But if you leave, I won't be alone.
If you find the place that's more correct for you, I won't be alone.
If you find the place that's more correct for you, I won't be alone.
Big breath here. Like I've been afraid on your behalf, like I can't leave, she'll be alone. And then it gives me like, oh, there's another, oh, if I go play the game I really want to play, instead of the taking care of Judith game, I won't be guilty. She'll be all right. Really? Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm positive. I won't be lonely if you go to the place that's better for you, where you belong.
That's a really big thing for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling it in my own belly as well, where I have inflammation all the time.
Well, and this feels like the connection to the other, because again, it's like, oh, then I can be with my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I won't be guilty of abandoning Judith.
Mm-hmm.
So just real quick. Oh, and now I see it differently. I see as Peter, I just see like, oh, wow, this doesn't belong here. Okay. Not a lot of attitude, just kind of like, oh, this is a previous playmate of Judith's, but maybe, but not anymore or something. So how does that feel for you?
It feels really lovely.
I mean, we could do more here, but I think that's plenty. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to just feel that today.
Yeah.
It makes me feel more alive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, the memo, the notion of I just thought you would like to see.
How lovely. How lovely. Do they smell good?
Very smelly.
Too much?
They're doing the hyacinth thing.
Okay.
But yeah, just, I mean, you have a companion in Peter. That's not like unsubtle. You talk about him a lot. But letting that news arrive, like go through all of remember the old fashioned hydraulic sending memos in buildings? Very I can't believe those ever worked. Like someone got stuck and it's like, plunk. Someone opens it and opens it up and goes, oh, Judith has a new companion. More proper for her. Okay, good to know. So that's it. Trying to get it to all departments. Get the information
There's
to all departments.
There's somewhere I was not that long ago that still has that, but I don't remember what it was. And it was just so cool. It's that noise, the thunk.
Yeah, right. Really, I only ever saw it in TV shows and stuff like that. I don't think I actually ever experienced it. I mean, that even predates me a little bit. I think, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
my
Macy's
dad probably
had
used them at IBM or something.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I'm going to send you off. Good enough for today, my dear?
Yeah, lovely. And I'll see you tomorrow and
Saturday, 2 days from today. Because today's only Thursday, right? Please tell me it's only Thursday.
Today's only Thursday. I have one more meeting with you.
Oh, you're doing that tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
okay.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to get creative about that one because I thought this was our swan song. So figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, I got it.
You got an idea. Okay, good.
I got it. And I'm going to go have a really nice walk and embody what just happened. And
good.
Thank you. You're such a love. Thank you.
You're a love too. See you later.
Bye.